Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Cognition Ignition. So today what I'm going to be doing is sharing a comment that I recently got on one of my videos, one of my past live streams. We're going to be going to battle a little bit because, like I said, life is a war and you have a bunch of micro battles which you must face. I've been engaging by putting out my thoughts, and I kind of knew that sometimes I would get some pushback on it. That was the plan. Now it's time to react to the pushback that I am receiving. And this is something that you guys need to learn because it's necessary. So I'm going to share the comment. I'm going to go through the whole comment, and then I'm going to go through each piece of the comment and respond appropriately. And I hope that some people become educated because of this. Okay, so let's pull up the comment. Here's the comment. I'm going to try to not put the person who left the comment too much into this, but you can check out the videos and you'll see for yourself. But so I have to disagree with the majority of what you said in the podcast. As parents, our main objective is not to train our kids for the business world, but to allow them to discover who they are on their own and be happy. They need to learn to work through problems with other people. And that means early socialization with other toddlers and kids their age in a grade school, kindergarten, middle, and high school. It feels like you want to control the whole experience of your child, like a tiger mom, instead of allowing serendipity. You did not mention that you wanted to train your child for the business world. But most of your argument goes as a business owner. That your business is your passion is a great thing, but don't make your business and yours particularly the passion of your child. Allow your child to experiment and grow and like things that you don't like. If he happens to like ballet, then encourage that. Also, the comment about teachers is highly disrespectful to the profession. They are not idiots who are clueless about what they are clueless about what they teach. Most of them have kids' well-being at the core of their being, but may not have the resource to do the best that is possible for their wards. Exactly. People are always complaining about teachers instead of complaining about the school boards, the politicians, and the business owners who want to reduce the tax allocation to public schools because it costs too much. Then the very people blame the overworked teachers when kids are not performing well. Many teachers have to deal with a host of issues that stem from children's broken home before they can ever contemplate teaching basic math. Let's keep going. You think that you know what is best curriculum for your kids, but you know nothing about early childhood education. And learning is a highly complex field, like any others. You cannot claim to be an expert, and I don't either. I may not agree with some things that teachers and education scholars practice, but before I blame them and claim to know better, I investigate why they are doing what they are. You're just another person barging in thinking that he can reinvent the wheel and has great insight into the world of education, without the required humility to admit that educating kids might be one of the greatest challenge and complex endeavors of humans. Your Protestant work ethic, wherever this came from, whether you are Protestant or not, is not a magical solution to every phenomenon. Okay, so we have that. And I'm going to start from the beginning again. As a parent, our main objective is not to train our kids for the business world, but to allow them to discover who they are on their own and be happy. Now, the first point I want to make about this is that no matter what, from the time we are born, we are living in a business. It's abstracted as a business, but that's what it is. And here's how I'm going to prove it, because this will even get into some of our points later on. So the money that gets allocated to schools, one thing that we have to realize is that that money is not allocated to the child. It is only allocated to the school. In any other industry, including healthcare, which I do work in, I'm an administrator at a healthcare facility, the money is allocated to the individual, not to my facility. If we do not have an individual filling a bed in our facility, we do not make the money for that. Where in schools, if an individual does not attend, the school will still receive the money for that child. The difference here is that if you choose to homeschool your kid, you are not going to receive the money for homeschooling your kid. If you choose to take care of an elderly parent, you will receive the money to take care of your elderly parent. So that's one thing to consider, firstly, okay? So it is very important that you raise your kids to understand that they are living in a business. Even if they don't enjoy the fact that they need to understand how money works, how the world takes their money, and what the world does with their money. So that's where we'll start. So And to this also, why do more people not homeschool, in my opinion, is because they can't afford it. Now, if this money was actually allocated appropriately, we would be able to have more children being homeschooled in the way that I think is more appropriate. And if you understand the Dunbar number, which most people who watch my channel probably do, there's only a limited number of socialization factors that you can, or people that you can socialize with at any given point in time. So a school with 400 people in one grade doesn't even make sense, which I have to continue moving. So they need to learn to work through problems with other people. That can be done without having 400 people in a graduating class or 500, which is what schools in my area actually do have currently. And that means early socialization with other toddlers and kids their age in a grade school, kindergarten, middle, and high school. What's the need for all these extra schools if parents can actually begin raising their child? If they weren't taxed to raise their child, then they can actually begin homeschooling in close environments with people that they actually can get to know outside of school as well, that they can begin to build relationships with and friendships with, and actually begin using what they're learning in a local environment. You know, right now you see like kids go home and they don't even talk to the kids that they were forced to talk to at school. They may not even agree with half of the things that the other kids are talking to them about. And you're going to see these people withdraw from the social environment completely. So where does that necessarily need to be a necessity? If it is more important that the child learns the local norms of their own environment than the norms that are going to be pushed onto them from other students. And we do see this commonly, that students are likely to pick up these other behaviors and find negative repercussions because of it. So I just want to make that clear, is that we should really be considering how we want our kids to be influenced, especially from an early age. And we're going to go more into more of these points that you made. So it feels like you want to control the whole experience of your child, like a tiger mom, instead of allowing serendipity. Nothing in my explanation explains that I want to control my child. I want to make sure that my child is protected from negative influence, which is very necessary. If I don't do that, somebody else is going to be instilling that negative influence onto him. So it's my responsibility as a parent to make sure that I seek some locus of control. It's important for any parent. It's what parents are lacking these days, if anything. And if we're using typology as a tool, then, you know, we have a tool to understand where your child may be influenced easily. So I did not mention that I wanted to train my child for business world, because I don't necessarily want to make it that he needs to understand it as a business. He needs to understand that the world is a business. He lives in a business. He lives in a world that revolves around the money and resource and where it can go, and that it's not always going to be given to him, even if he's the one working for it. It's very important that your child does understand that. That your business is your passion is a great thing, but don't make business, and yours particularly, the passion of your child. Allow your child to experiment and grow. Well, here's the thing, is my video that this was commented on had mainly to do with discipline. And actually, let me keep reading. So this video had mainly to do with discipline. Allow my child to do things that I don't like. And if he happens to like ballet, then encourage that. I have nothing against ballet. As a child, when I was playing football, it was the number one thing I wanted to do, actually. It was just I didn't have the time to do it because I was already disciplined in other things. But if my son comes to me and wants to do ballet, I'm going to tell him, make sure you're doing the best you can do being a ballerina. Honestly, I think there's probably another name for it as a male, but I would definitely let him do ballet, because you know what? It's a discipline. Have you ever met somebody who teaches ballet? They're very disciplined. They're very strict and very stern, and they expect that of the students that they are teaching. And my point was never, because I use jujitsu as my own example, it was never to say that that's what my kid needs to do. It's that he needs to be disciplined in anything he does. If he decides he wants to collect comic books and make money off of that, or collect CDs or make music, if he is not disciplined, he will have no success in that. And he is living in a business, so he needs to find success in the things that he needs to be disciplined. And this is for anybody. Also, the comment about teachers is highly disrespectful to the profession. They are not idiots who are clueless about what they, I should start over here. Clueless about what they teach. Most of them have the kids' well-being at the core of their being, but may not have the resources to do the best that is possible for their wards. People are always complaining about teachers instead of complaining about the school boards, the politicians, and the business owners who want to reduce tax allocation to public schools because it costs too much. So I've never really criticized teachers in that way. I do think that a lot of teachers would move away from the school if they would be able to support themselves by doing so. And the problem is the tax allocation, and not that the tax allocation is too much, it's where the tax allocation goes. It goes directly to the school, to whoever is running the school boards and their superintendents, to decide how it's going to be used. And a lot of times it takes away things that add discipline to a child's life. So that's one thing that I really want you to consider when you're really considering this, is that it's not that it's too much. I think most people agree that where most of our investment should be is in children. It's that it needs to be going to the child specifically for the child to begin finding ways to find a discipline, find a way to engage, and have the money and resources to do so. Also, I do think that if it was done like that, you would see so many teachers leave the public school system and private school system in order to do more appropriate education for smaller groups of children in the way that is best suited for the environment we live in now. And then, so we're going to keep going. I don't think I had anything else on that specifically. And one more thing actually about teachers is that if teachers did want to develop a sense of excellence and be their best, then they would acknowledge more so the problems with resource than just allow themselves to teach through it. So while I do think teachers are necessary, I do not think they always have your child's best interest at hand or in mind. They have their own family, they have their own kids that they need to make sure they don't lose their job trying to protect other kids. And that's something to really consider when you're going to sit there and argue for teachers, is that they are not necessarily, they have a job and they don't want to lose that. And if you are going to leave your child's future in the hands of them, then you need to understand what factors are encouraging them not to speak up. Because you know what? When a teacher does speak up, the same way everybody else gets canceled, the teacher gets canceled. And that's something to really be considering as somebody who wants to talk about childcare. And now we're going to get into the juicy part, because I'll explain to you why I think anybody should be able to speak up about any topic that they want. You think you know what is best curriculum for kids, but you know nothing about early childhood education, and learning is a highly complex field. Let's just be certain. I work in healthcare. I'm a healthcare administrator. Before becoming a healthcare administrator, I did not have qualifications to be a healthcare administrator, and I run the top facility in my state. So don't let anyone who watches this, don't let that be a confusion to yourself. Just because some people have some qualifications or a piece of paper that says they can do something, it does not mean that they are going to be better than it at you. They are only going to do what is status quo, and that is not the best. Learning is a highly complex field like any others. You cannot claim to be an expert, and I don't either. I don't claim to be an expert. I claim to be somebody who thinks rationally, who actually puts a lot of effort into the things I do. I'm very intent on the things I do, and I actually care about the things I do. I have a passion for the things I do. So you know what? When people come into my company and tell me I'm doing something wrong because of something they learned in school, I'll correct them. And guess who's usually right? Me. So I just don't want to confuse other people and make them think that because you don't have some kind of certificate doesn't mean you can be right, because you absolutely can. It's critical thinking, and that's what more people need in the world. Now, she says, he or she, I don't know who this person is. It's more of a pseudonym that they use. I may not agree with some things that teachers and education scholars practice, but before I blame them and claim to know better, I investigate why they are doing what they are doing. I think it's pretty obvious that I've done my investigation. I understand how, especially the monetary aspect of schooling works, and why people won't speak up when something is not right. So just so you know, anybody can critically think like that. It's not a very hard thing to do. You have to be intent on doing that. I'm another person barging in thinking that he can reinvent the wheel and has great insight into the world of education without required humility to admit that the educating kids might be one of the greatest challenge and complex endeavors of our human. I just want you guys to know, when I took over in healthcare and I didn't have those qualifications that other people did, I was told the exact same thing. I took a company from a score of a 91 to a 100. Okay, you don't need that. You need to have intent, and you need to care about what you are working on, and that's how you will get there. It's not necessarily that all of a sudden, you get this piece of paper that says you can do something and you're going to be the best at it or more qualified than somebody else. If that person doesn't have the intent or the or care the way that you do, they will not be better than you at that. And when you talk to most teachers, like, you can tell that they are more concerned about losing their job, especially if they agree that some of the things that they are doing are not necessarily the best. And teachers will tell you that, but they will not fix it a lot of the time because they are at the hands of the monetary system, which allows them to survive. And as a parent, you really need to realize that that is the truth of the world, is that, those teachers are just as much likely to blow your kid off if it means that they're going to lose their job. And we'll finish this up. I'm not a Protestant. My work ethic has developed because of my success. I have realized the benefit of my work ethic through little micro transactions that I've done, through learning how to wrestle and learning how to win because I worked harder than anybody else on the team, through learning how to research and learning how to prove my points because I worked harder to understand my points more than anybody else in my environment. It's not a magical solution. You're right. It's hard work and discipline that allowed me to get here. And you know what? Not everyone's going to be in the same place as me, but I can guarantee you they'll be in a better place. They'll be happier if they find discipline and work hard. And you know what? Some of the things in the world really do have to change. And that's pretty much what I have for today. If anybody has a comment, I'll take those. But if not, I'm going to end this live stream. I was glad I was able to react, and I'll start engaging again in a future live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me some more comments so I can react to them if you do. And I'll catch you on the next episode of Cognition Ignition. Thanks for watching.